So we've talked about one approach to solve this problem for decoding this string. Now we are going to look at another approach. So in this approach, we are going to have one loop that just look at one character at a time. And then we decide what to do based on the current character. So in the previous approach, our main loop, sometime in one iteration, we will consume one character when we decode dot. Sometime when we consume two characters, when we decode the two and one and two, corresponding with dash dot and dash dash. So here we want to write a loop that we just look at each character at a time. So in order to do that, let's first look at the sample input. So if we see a bar, no, if we see a dash, then what can we do? We can't really output anything because what this will decode into will depend on the next one. If it's a dot, then that decode into one. If that one, second one is also dash, that decode into two. So when we are just looking at this dash, we don't know what it is. The only thing we can do is to store the information that we have seen in dash, and we don't know what it is yet. We have not used it. So we do that by setting this variable has undecoded dash to true. So then next time when we look at the dot, then what we do with the dot will depend on this variable. So in this case, because has undecoded dash is true, because there is a dash before it, we are going to use this dash and dot together to output 1. So depending when this state is true, we're seeing a dot, we're going to output 1. Of course, then at the same time, we need to set the has undecoded dash to be false, because at this point we have used everything. So the next dot here should be output 0, because at this point this has undecoded dash should be false, because we don't have a dash immediately before this that has not been used. So this dot here will output 0. So we have 1 0. And then we still don't have any undecoded dash. Next time when we see this dash, so when the has undecoded dash is false and we see a dash, we don't output anything. We just set has undecoded dash to be true. And then we look at the next one. So when we look at here, because has undecoded dash is true, and then we will output 1. And then the next dash will make us set this has undecoded dash again to true. Then the next one will output 2. So here in this table, I specified what we are going to output given this two information. One is the state we'll be maintaining. The other is the current character. So of course, we also need to update this state when needed. So in particularly, for these two cases, we should also set has undecoded dash to false. And for this blank cell here, we should set has undecoded dash to true. So this is the code for doing that. We use one Boolean state information to remember whether the previous character is a dash that we have not used. So and inside here, we are basically implementing these 4 cases. So here I used the if and then a nested if. So if we have a dash left over, then depending on whether the character is a dot or dash, we're going to print 1 or 2. At the same time, we are going to set has undecoded the dash to false. And if we don't have undecoded dash, then when we see dot, we just output 0. But otherwise, when we see a dash, we are going to set has undecoded dash to true. So these remember the information that we've seen a dash and we haven't decoded. So this logic, it's I guess for this particular problem, this logic is a bit more complicated than the previous one. I would prefer this version, and probably you will too. But for some problem, you will need to use a logic like that. Essentially, you maintain a state information. Remember what you have to remember about the prefix of the string to enable you to decide what to do currently. Then, of course, you need to update that that state information.